Welcome to Silvana-IV. The Federation bioscanners call it a hyper-accelerated flora zone. The grunts who die here call it the TikTok jungle, or the chrono thicket. This isn't a place where you worry about predators hiding in the brush. Here, the brush itself is the predator, and it operates on a time frame that defies physics. The plant life on Silvana-IV doesn't grow exponentially, it grows instantly. A seed can become a sapling in the time it takes you to blink. A sapling becomes a steel-hard ironwood cage in the time it takes you to reload your rifle. The jungle hunts based on vibration and rapid movement. You take a step too fast and the ground beneath you erupts. Tendrils thick as your arm, lined with diamond-hard thorns, burst from the soil. They don't just grab you, they grow around you. Within 3 seconds, you are encased in a living wooden coffin that tightens with thousands of pounds of hydraulic pressure until your armor buckles and your bones turn to dust. Standard ballistics are useless. You shoot a vine and 2 more grow in its place before the casing hits the mud. Flamethrowers just make it angry, accelerating its metabolism with heat. When a high-value surveying walker was rooted and consumed in Sector Gamma, taking critical geological data with it, the brass knew they couldn't send standard infantry to retrieve it. They needed a way to stop time itself. They sent us the 109th Cryo-Demolition Unit. The frost bites. We don't fight biology with fire or bullets. We fight it with thermodynamics. We wear cumbersome, heavily insulated cryosuits that make us look like walking deep-sea divers, designed to keep the heat in and the absolute zero out. Our weapons are industrial-grade nightmares. The primary is the LN2 Blizzard Cannon, a backpack-fed hose that sprays superpressurized liquid nitrogen at -196 degrees Celsius. Our sidearm isn't a pistol, it's a hydraulic shatter hammer designed to break concrete. I am Captain Icepick Rostova. Our mission: punch a hole through 2 kilometers of hypergrowth jungle, locate the walker, extract the data core, and shatter anything green that tries to stop us. We dropped into the LZ on the edge of the thicket. The air was hot, humid, and smelled intensely of chlorophyll and ozone, the smell of a jungle constantly growing at warp speed. The moment our heavy boots hit the soft loam, the jungle woke up. A deep, grinding vibration shuddered through the ground. It sounded like 1,000 wooden doors creaking open simultaneously, amplified to a deafening roar. Contact. Ground level. 360 degrees, bellowed Sergeant Dax, his voice synthesized through the heavy helmet speakers. The attack was instantaneous. Around our perimeter, the jungle floor exploded. Dozens of barbed vines, sleek and green, shot upwards like cobra strikes. They moved so fast they were a blur. One lashed out at Corporal Vane, wrapping around his ankle before he could even lift his boot. In the single second it took Vane to shout a warning, the vine had already thickened from a whip to a tree trunk, anchoring him to the ground and beginning to spiral up his leg, the thorns screeching against his armor plating. "Don't move, Vane. I'll cool him off," I roared, stepping forward and leveling my blizzard cannon. I pulled the trigger. The cannon bucked with the pressure. A thick, roaring cone of white vapor erupted from the nozzle, engulfing Vane and the attacking vine. The sound was a high-pitched hiss that drowned out the jungle's groan. The temperature in the immediate area plummeted instantly. The effect was spectacular. The aggressive green vine didn't just stop moving, it flash froze. The water inside its hyper-accelerated cells turned to ice instantly, expanding and rupturing the plant's cellular structure on a microscopic level. The vibrant green turned to dead, crystalline white. The vine became a statue of ice. "Shatter him," I ordered. Dax moved in with his hydraulic hammer. He swung the heavy sledge with piston-assisted force. Crack, shatter. The sound was like a gunshot. The frozen vine didn't splinter like wood, it exploded like spun glass. Thousands of razor-sharp ice shards sprayed the air as Vane pulled his leg free, his armor covered in frost but intact. "Keep moving. If we stop, we're compost," I yelled, checking my nitrogen levels. We formed a moving phalanx of cold. We didn't walk through the jungle, we froze a path through it. The thicket sensed the threat, this anti-life we brought with us, and responded with fury. The canopy above us began to weave itself into a dense mat, blocking out the sun, while thicker, older root systems erupted from the ground, trying to crush us with sheer mass. It was a chaotic, claustrophobic battle. The air was a blinding mix of white nitrogen fog, green spores, and flying ice shrapnel. We were constantly turning, spraying, and hammering. A vine would shoot out from the fog, aiming for a helmet. A blizzard cannon would snap around, freezing it mid-air into a grotesque sculpture. Then a hammer would swing, reducing the threat to diamond dust. We were a walking ice age in a hothouse hell. We reached the kilometer mark. The jungle changed tactics. It stopped trying to grab us individually and tried to bury us. The trees around us began to shed their bark, revealing massive, pulsating runner vines that grew together, forming a closing wall of thorns around our squad. They're building a cage around us. I can't freeze it fast enough, yelled Specialist Rin, her cannon spraying a continuous stream into the encroaching wall, but the new growth was pushing through the frozen layers. Thermite thumper. Drop it now, I commanded. Rin pulled a heavy disc-shaped device from her pack and slammed it into the mud. She armed it and we braced. The thumper didn't explode. It sent a massive, superheated seismic pulse into the ground. The sudden heat shock confused the root systems, causing them to spasm and retract for a few precious seconds. Gap created. Push through. Freeze everything. We charged through the momentary opening, our cannons roaring, leaving a tunnel of jagged ice behind us. We finally reached the side of the downed walker. It was barely visible, a metal corpse completely consumed by a massive apex vine. A central growth node 3 stories tall, pulsating with aggressive energy. The walker's data port was buried deep inside this wooden heart. It's guarding the core. We have to kill the heart, I said, looking up at the towering mass of thorns and wood. The apex vine sensed us. It didn't send tendrils, it shifted its entire bulk, leaning over us like a tidal wave of wood, preparing to crush us flat. All cannons. Maximum pressure. Override the safeties. Freeze the bastard solid. I screamed. 4 blizzard cannons opened up simultaneously, dumping their entire remaining tanks into the base of the apex vine. The roar of the nitrogen was deafening. The air turned instantly into an Arctic whiteout. We were standing inside a blizzard of our own making. The massive wooden heart groaned, a sound that vibrated through our boots, as the extreme cold began to penetrate its thick hide. The green pulsing slowed. The wood turned white. Frost raced up the trunk faster than the plant could grow. It tried to thrash to shake off the cold, but its movements became jerky, brittle. Finally, with a sound like a cracking glacier, the 3-story monstrosity froze solid. It loomed over us, a magnificent, terrifying monument of ice in the center of the steaming jungle. Hammers. Bring it down. We moved in, lining up around the frozen base. On my mark, 4 hydraulic shatter hammers swung in unison. The impact was apocalyptic. The massive frozen structure didn't just break, it detonated. Tons of ice and frozen wood exploded outward in a shockwave of crystalline shrapnel. We were knocked off our feet, buried in a landslide of glittering debris. We dug ourselves out of the ice pile. The center of the clearing was gone, replaced by a crater of shattered frost. In the middle, exposed to the air for the first time in days, was the walker's cabin. Dax pried the hatch open and retrieved the data core. Objective secure, Captain. Tanks are empty. We are running on fumes. The jungle around the clearing was silent, stunned by the massive thermal shock. But the heat of Silvana-IV was already returning, melting the ice, waking the beast. We could hear the deep, grinding sound of new growth starting at the perimeter. Time to go. Double time back to the LZ. Don't stop for anything not made of ice, I ordered, holstering my empty cannon and hefting my hammer. We ran back through the tunnel of melting ice we had created, swinging our hammers at anything green that twitched. The extraction dropship came in low, its thrusters burning a landing zone in the recovering canopy. We scrambled aboard, exhausted, our suits covered in mud and melting frost. As the ramp closed and we lifted off, I looked back down at the jungle. The scar of white ice we had carved into the green landscape was already disappearing, consumed by the voracious hyperspeed growth. The chrono thicket was reclaiming its own. Another day, another garden weeded, Dax grunted, pulling off his frosted helmet. I looked at my hands, still shaking from the cold and the adrenaline. It'll grow back by tomorrow, I said. But today? Today winter won. Humanity had proven the ultimate truth of the green hell. When nature decides to speed up the clock and bury you in an instant, you don't try to keep up. You hit the pause button. With liquid nitrogen and 15 pounds of hydraulic steel. We are the frostbites. And we bring the ice age to the hothouse. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. Time waits for no man, but we can freeze it solid. If you enjoyed this thermodynamic war against hypergrowth, smash that like button, and shatter it. Comment below. What's scarier, something that hunts you or the ground itself trying to eat you? Subscribe for the next story. The nitrogen is spent. The ice is melting. The data is safe.